afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our November Going Deeper for the Inner Circle. And how many of you got a chance to watch the video? Cool. The reason I wanted to send that video is that I see more and more the power of showing up in the quiet. It's sort of like a shortcut for the whole thing, a shorthand. You know, I never did shorthand, but I always looked at the squiggles and went, how on earth does that squiggle represent all those words? You know, it's like I remember a Doonesbury cartoon years ago where the U.S. ambassador to China, who was it was basically Hunter S. Thompson as Uncle Duke. And he goes on a rant and is telling like just off-color jokes to warm up the crowd. And his translator, Honey, just sits there and she goes, the ambassador is making a joke. The ambassador has completed joke and expects laughter. You see the laughter from the crowd. So like the feeling is like that. It's like the translation of all these words we use, of all these principles we're supposed to know. Because when we're in the quiet, we are as close to our basic, pure, essential nature as we can get. We are that. And from that place, from that space in us, oh, the things we can do. Because we're guided. Because we can hear, we can discern. In the quiet, you can literally hear the difference between the noise and the signal, between all the inherited, accumulated thinking that we've picked up over the years, and the still small voice of your own self, the wisdom within, the voice of spirit. And the more we listen to that voice, the more perfectly our lives unfold. Not perfectly in form the way we want. Don't know if you've noticed, form doesn't always go the way we want. It doesn't always look the way we want. It's why one of my favorite quotes is George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life. The being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being a force of nature. A force of nature. Instead of a selfish clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. Now, there have been times where I've heard that as an admonition and as a waggy finger thing, like, oh, yes, the world will not, well, yeah, I need to be. But when I'm not listening to that, when I'm hearing in the quiet, when those words emerge inside me from the quiet, I recognize the beauty of it. There is a universal mind that we are all a part of, we all have access to. And if we listen to it, it guides us. It nurtures us, it supports us. And when we got caught up in our personal mind with its petty grievances and problems and rights and wrongs and goods and bads and betters and worses, we suffer. Because we're arguing with what is. And as Byron Katie said, when you argue with what is, you lose. But only always. But don't order yet, because it gets better. Not only does living in the quiet, hanging out in the quiet, being yourself with a capital S and a small s, all of you, the fullness of you, the essence and the form. the purity and the unique dilution through the prism of you that creates a rainbow of possibilities and expressions in the world. You get to feel good because it feels good to be ourselves. It feels good to be alive. And in the quiet, we can feel the feelings. They rush in, they surprise us, they take us over. We can be overcome by joy and delight and peace and well-being. But even when we're not, there's still a sense in the quiet of all being well. There can be chaos under the heavens, but the situation is excellent. There can be a hurricane, tornadoes of thoughts and storms and events happening all around you. But in the quiet, you're in the eye of the hurricane, the eye of the storm, the stillness at the heart of the movement. And from that place, you can do anything. You can go anywhere. And oh, the places you'll go, said Dr. Seuss. And you don't have to express all quietly just because you're in the quiet. Oh, I'm in the quiet. I'm in the feeling. Sorry, I can't do stuff because I'm quiet now. Fuck it. You can do anything from the quiet. You can get so noisy on the outside when you're quiet on the inside. You can protest. You can fight. You can scream. You can dance. You can sing. You can express. I remember told the story before, but it was extraordinary to me. I was giving a talk, church in London, alternatives for those of you who've been in Piccadilly Circus. And I was doing my thing. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I get kind of bouncy sometimes when I teach. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that. You know, I kind of like have internal jazz hands, whether they come out or not. I've missed you, Carrie, by the way. I've been making all these musical theater references and nobody gets them. And finally, you're back. Thank you. Joseph gets them too. But anyways, like I'm doing all that, but I am feeling preternaturally calm. I am so still inside. And I'm noticing it because it's kind of odd. Because I can tell that I'm really bouncy and everyone's laughing and we're having fun, but I feel so quiet. And I thought, oh my God, I'm an upside down duck. Because ducks, they're calm on the surface, but paddling like hell underneath. Well, I was paddling like hell on the surface, but I was so quiet underneath. Being the quiet doesn't mean you have to be quiet. In fact, it makes it easier to get loud when it's time to get loud. So this is not a kind of a quiet that invites you to drop out of life. Sorry, life, I'm doing the quiet this year. You just carry on. You can, if that's what you are guided to, if that's where you are called. Fantastic. Great. Neither a preference for speech nor silence, say the Buddhists. Neither a preference for action nor inaction. You simply follow your own flow, the flowing of your knowing that arises and is easy to discern in the quiet because there's a feel to our knowing. There's a feel to that deeper mind. There's a feel to guidance. It just feels different to trying to get it right and trying not to get it wrong. So you dance when you dance, and you're still when you're still. And you fight when you fight, and you rest when you rest, and you work when you work, and you play when you play. And the whole thing is delightful because the quiet is delightful, full of delightful feelings, full of the light of spirit, the light of life. It's in there now. It never goes anywhere. You're swimming in it. That's why you don't notice it. because it's always already here. It's not an achievement, it's a noticing. There's nothing to do, but there's something to see, something to hear, something to feel from the inside. And when you feel the quiet, when you see the quiet, when you listen to the quiet speaks. Eckhart Tolle says, stillness speaks. And what it says fills you with love. It fills you with hope. It wakes you up to a deeper sense of being alive, a fuller sense of being you, all of you, the lovable mess that we all are, the wacky, weird, bizarre, cool, amazing, nice thing, person, human that you are, and the being that you are, the being that we all are, human being. You get to be all of it. Now, you can have whatever goals you want, but I can tell you that my goal is not to just be a being and get rid of my human. And if that's your goal, cool, you can do that. But I've noticed that we only seem to do that. People only seem to want to do that when they think their human is bad and wrong and broken. And they get tired of trying to fix it and trying to make it fit in. So they go, I know what I'll do. I'll just not be that. I will abandon my human and I will be pure being. But it doesn't work. Spiritual suicide doesn't work any better than the real thing. It might give you a feeling of relief from time to time, but it doesn't make you feel more alive. The aliveness is the expression. The aliveness comes as you go about your life, as you embrace the human. You embrace your humanity, even as you delight in your expression of pure spirit. The Jesuit Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So why the fuck would you want to avoid the human experience? It's why you're here. It'd be like going to a movie to not watch it, going to the theater to read the program, participating in the Olympics but not running the race, climbing Everest but not taking time at the top to look around and go, wow, look at that. Fuck me, I did that. I never thought I would do that. You know, that's the thing. In all the goal setting books I read when I was a kid, they all said, oh, yeah, you know, successful people always have goals and blah, blah, blah. Well, I have now been alive for a while and I've met a lot of successful people. And I can tell you for a fact, most of them are fucking amazed and a little embarrassed at how well they've done. They don't really get it. It was not what they expected. They did not get there because they believed in themselves in that sense. They got there in spite of themselves in many cases. They got there because they believed in a dream. They believed in a vision. They believed in a possibility. They believed in what emerged from them. They believed it was worth nurturing. It was worth expressing. It was worth living into. It was worth failing spectacularly and winning spectacularly. Because the game's really fun. Or when we're not in the quiet, when we're out in the world, dizzy from our own spin, eyes shut because we're afraid of what we might see. I wonder why we struggle. I wonder why that happens. That's weird. Shouldn't we just get it because we're pure beings? Shouldn't everything just work out for us? Nothing needs to work out for us at the level of being. It's already perfect. It always has been. It always will be. I'm not religious, and I find things in almost all religions, and I only say almost because maybe there's one that I wouldn't. But I find things that I resonate with in religions. One of my favorite lines comes from a book called What's So Amazing About Grace by Philip Yancey. He says, unconditional love, agape love, is the realization that there is nothing you can do that will make God love you any more. And there's nothing you can do that will make God love you any less. And in the sense I am using the word, you are God. Or as Sid Banks put it, he said, God I am, but I'm not God. Right? You're made of God stuff. You're made of spirit. You're made of light. That's the sense in which you are God, which means you are that love. And nothing you can do will make you more love. And nothing you've ever done or ever would do could make you less beloved, because you are made of love. You are made of light. You are made of spirit. You don't have to like it. You don't even have to notice it. You can even argue with it. You can even pretend it's not true. Right? It is fully possible to live your entire life in utter denial of what is. But that doesn't make it not so. It just means you don't notice it anymore. Your brain goes, oh, you don't want to notice that? Okay, we'll make it disappear. But it only disappears from your personal, separate, thought-created reality. It doesn't become less true because you question it. It doesn't become more true because you believe it. It is what it is because it is. And in the quiet, that's obvious. And in the noisy spin of our heads, that just sounds like, wait, what? No, but what about, but there are exceptions because, and you don't know what happened to me. No, I don't. I don't. And you don't know what's happened to me, and I don't know what's happened to any human being who's ever lived. But I know that on the far side of fear is always compassion, is always love. I don't remember who it is, but one of my favorite quotes that comforted me for years. And I think it was C.S. Lewis who said, what? You too? I thought I was the only one. We're all in the game together. And part of the game might be that we look like we're on separate sides. But we're on separate sides in the same game. We're on opposing teams in the same game, the game of life. So my left hand can take on my right hand, and which one's going to win, and which one's better, but they're both my hands. And it can be fun to, thumb wrestle yourself. But you're wrestling with yourself. You're fighting with yourself. You're loving yourself because we're all made of the same stuff. And you will play your role as best you can, and I will play my role as best I can, and everyone is playing their role as best they can. But in the quiet, in that space within, the space of meditation, the space of peace, the space of pure light, it's just a game. And it's a game that you can enjoy, and it's a game that you can take little breaks from. But it's the game we came here to play, apparently. And I've found that when you play a game full out, when you play a game as if your life depended on it, knowing full well that it doesn't, It's more fun. It's more fun when you play for keeps, even though you don't get to keep anything that you get. But you were perfect and whole before the game even began. You're perfect and whole at the end of the first quarter. You're perfect and whole at the half. Perfect and whole in the end of the third quarter. Perfect and whole at the end of the game. And if there's overtime, and I don't know if there's overtime, but if there's overtime, you'll be perfect and whole all the way through it. So that's what I heard in the quiet this morning.